Brandon, the narrative would be the same. How's it going, everyone? We'll be starting shortly. Sorry I started really late today again. I had a crazy day at work and I wanted to start at 7:30, but I ended up finishing work around 7. Or was it like 7:15? So I needed to sort myself out as well, get some food and whatnot. Alright, just making sure I've got all my stuff ready. Oh boy. We're gonna have a good stream today. Let's get into the pre-stream. That should not be that loud. Alright. That looking good. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back! Yeah, like I said at the start of well, during the prelude, I don't know if you could hear me, but normally I finish at 5 o'clock at work. Today we had 3 releases and I ended up finishing like 7:15, so there was no way I could get online in time for 7:30. Work is work. T2 Comic, Rum Punch, Bold Alpha Wolf, Gaming's Trush, Bonaya. I mean, to be fair, everything's best on PC, right? Even Horizon Forbidden West is best on PC. Hellblade 2 is best on PC. God of War Ragnarok will be best on PC. Everything is best on PC except for The Last of Us. That was atrociously bad. Oh no, the game looks good. The game looks good. We're gonna be checking out some gameplay. We're gonna be talking about it because I think on this occasion I don't know how much it's going to affect it. Pac-Man is best on PC. Hell, even Minesweep is best on PC. If we're being semantic. I mean, you're not wrong, Benaya. You're not wrong. It gives you 60 FPS on PC. If you have the know-how. Nintendo may take one down, but the remnants of ways will always be there. Just look at, Tears of the Kingdom. Drops down to like 20 frames per second on the Switch. Gets 60 locked on PC. I mean, Dreaded, PlayStation is gonna go day and date eventually. You won't even need a PS5. But that being said, not everyone wants the game on a PC, so there's still a place for the Xbox console. I mean, where is it? I mean, if you're planning on dying in the next 2 years, that's a you thing, Dreaded. But the rest of us probably aren't planning to die in the next 2 years. But God be with you if you are planning on dying in the next 2 years. My heart and soul goes out to you, buddy. Where is it? I like this. This was cool. This was cool. I wonder how many takes they took to do that. I wonder how many takes it took to do that. Now that's what I said, laughing. That's what I said. Yeah, I mean, Sony is copying Microsoft, Dreaded. They've been copying Microsoft for a long time. But this is the average interaction between Xbox and PlayStation fans. Ever thought about getting an Xbox? Nah. Why get an Xbox when all those games are coming to PS5? Why get a PS5 when all their games are coming to PC? And wait years for game support? You're waiting years for Xbox game support. The average brain cell of a PlayStation fan. Why wait on PC for a year for a game to appear, but they're willing to wait 6 years for Sea of Thieves? It's like they're willing to wait 6 years for Sea of Thieves, but they're not willing to wait. I like this interaction. This was quite funny. This did make me laugh. Bold, I reckon they'll do it during thing. What is it? I think Venom is going to be the first game that they test it with. That's their next big game. The more single player. Unless they plan it with Gravity Rush, which is coming this year. Well, apparently there's a Gravity Rush or an Astrobot single player coming this year. Gravity Rush Remastered or Remake. They could also be tests to see how they do. I think Dreaded is a little upset. Hey, sure, Paris. You know I'll always have you on board. The notification should have went out. I wouldn't say Microsoft has lied. Let's see. Let me see if I can. If you're in the Discord already, Paris, jump into call in for stream or lobby, and I'll drag you in. Oh yes, you are. You're already here. Oh, I see. I pushed that a little too far. I pushed that a little too far. I did. Alright, there, fix that. Hey, Paris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Let me just make sure everyone else can hear you. Day Summit?
Hello, hello, hello.
Yep, they can hear you.
Sweet.
How have you been, my friend?
No, good, good. Obviously I had to cancel the other day for reasons, we talked about offline, but, I just happened to see you're online here, so figured I have a little bit of time. I could pop in and chat.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I understand, reasons and whatnot, so I can understand conversations, especially with the topics that I was going to talk about, leading into a few areas that may have muddied the waters a little bit.
Yeah.
But I also see you've got some big news big news, small news for tomorrow's. Is it on tomorrow your podcast? XMC?
Oh no, it's. Oh, you mean XCast?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's already out. Jeff Grubb was on, and it got blown out of proportion because we were having a little fun with it. He basically said that he had heard, through his people, that Gear 6 might, and I want to stress, might be revealed this summer. And that's it. That's all it was. And people ran with that because I'm not a big fan of leaks, talking about leaks and things like that. So I had a few people coming at me.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. So, and here's the funny thing about all of that. I actually talked to Xbox privately about that before it was out. They were like, it's not a big deal. So that's why it happened.
Yeah,
but,
I totally.
Yeah, and it's just speculation because really, if you go back to GDC, the coalition unofficially confirmed Gear 6 already. Because I was joking around online about imagine what Gear 6 would look like in Unreal 5, and then somebody from the coalition literally replied to what I was saying and was just like, "Yep." And then that set off a whole bunch of stuff on its own. But I mean, it's been speculation for a while, and if they tease it this year, because the whole context of that conversation was we were just talking about the showcase coming up, and I was speculating that they potentially could tease it at this showcase, and then that's when Jeff said what he said. Like, I'm not expecting to see Gears this year or next year. I think if we get Gear 6, it's probably a launch title with next gen Xbox.
Oh yeah.
next gen Xbox is 2026.
I can see next gen Xbox being 2026 for sure. Well, not for sure, but like that makes a lot more sense to me, especially with PlayStation's rumored PS5 Pro coming and
Yeah.
Xbox not having a mid-gen refresh. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the
And
Xbox needs one, to be fair, in terms of a next-gen refresh. I think they've got enough horsepower there, but they need to stop this 30 FPS.
yeah, and I don't either, which actually kind of is why I think it's going to be next gen, because I don't think Unreal 5 can be run on 60 frames per second without a lot of compromises on this current hardware. That's part of the issue. That's part of, in my opinion, I don't know this for a fact, but I think that's why you're seeing Hellblade 2 at 30 frames per second. And I get they're going to say, hey, we're doing it for a cinematic experience, things like that.
I know, but everyone knows that's rubbish, right?
Right, but it even goes back to like last year when we had Todd Howard on, and I asked him, why don't you have like a performance mode for Starfield on the console? And he said it was a creative decision as to why, and some parts of the game run higher than 30, but others would struggle to do that, so they just decided creatively to lock it at 30 on console. So, I mean, I get it. They're going to say various reasons why creative, at the end of the day, it's up to a creator what they will do and won't do with that. But I think something like Gear 6, which is probably a showcase title, well, it will be a visual showcase title for them. They're going to want that running at 60 in Unreal 5. So, yeah, I think it's probably next gen Xbox. And, I've also seen some people, because I did make one tweet of just about 30 frames. Like, I'm used to playing at 30 frames on console. It doesn't bother me. I would prefer 60, obviously. That's why I have a PC, so I can run it at higher frames. But I've seen people saying, well, PlayStation doesn't have that issue with their first party lineup because they have performance mode and everything. I agree.
It's a good point.
But I also said there are compromises that have to be made on the visual fidelity for that. Now, I am of the opinion, give me the choice.
Exactly.
But it's not like you're getting true 4K 60 frames in performance mode or anything. You're compromising something. And if Xbox doesn't have a mandate, I don't know if PlayStation does, but I'm just saying, if Xbox doesn't have a mandate that their first party studios have to include a performance mode, and they're choosing not to, it's up to them, really. Whether we like it or not, agree or disagree.
But it's Aaron, isn't it? Aaron came out and stupidly said this is the generation where 60 FPS will be the norm, and then every game that's come along for this generation has almost been 30 FPS.
But I've seen that one, and you know the internet, they love to have the receipts. I've seen that one, but then also he quickly clarified that it's not a mandate to do 60. That
I know, but you don't say something stupid like that and then try to backtrack from it. That's a cop out.
I'm not disagreeing, but it isn't like he said that, because I think he said that in 2020. It wasn't like he said that in 2020 and tried to clarify it in 2023 or 2024. He did it almost real time saying that. So I get it. Shouldn't have probably said it in the first place, but hey, this is the internet. Anything.
I mean, the internet remembers, man. The internet will always remember. You can say one thing and it's like when we say something in Turkish. If you don't specifically clarify exactly what you mean, Turkish is such a language where you say something and that can be taken in multiple different directions. And you are 100%. Screwed royally.
Yep.
Hey, Susanna, how's it going? I see chat has lost it again with the 30 FPS and 60 FPS debate. I mean, my position for that is quite simple. Give me the choice. I mean, if you look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, 30 FPS is, when it first launched the demo, was blurry as hell, but because I'm half blind anyway, it didn't bother me anyway. But, I at least prefer the choice. And I get the graphical fidelity would go down, but still, give me the choice. The only reason I think they didn't do it, and this isn't me making excuses, is literally one reason. It would have delayed the game by another 2-3 months for optimization for 60, because they've only just about got it ready for 30, and because you need to redo textures, you need to lower the textures, optimize. It would have, and I think they couldn't wait anymore. They've already had a whole quarter with nothing, which is already going against Phil's mandate of one game per quarter. don't think they could have afforded to wait any longer. And if now that they announced the Hellblade 2 release date, could you imagine the outcry that would happen if they said, "Hey, we're delaying it by another 3 months"?
Well, think about it. Think about it. And they smartly never promised any type of frame rate until now, because look at a year ago, Redfall. Look at what that was, where you promised us 60, and then at the last minute you told us, well, no, we're not going to have that at launch. It'll only be 30. That to me is justifiable to be upset about that. And I've heard various stories about what the story is with that internally. I won't say exactly who or what was said, but yeah, that was unacceptable. They should have had that ready to go, and they obviously patched it in later. So you do have a performance mode for Redfall that does do 60 frames, but when you're selling me the game at this being a feature, then you need to deliver that at launch. In my opinion, there's no excuse for that.
But didn't Phil turn around and say, like, they've seen the mistake of that, and they will rectify it and make sure it doesn't happen again? And then in what context? I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying with that. Well, he was apologetic for the 30 FPS. Yeah, because he said it was unacceptable, and for future games they will look at that and make sure that they don't fall into that trap again. And then I think Starfield came after. I can see why that was 30. There are reasons for that, but I expected at least Hellblade, after all the optimization that's been going into this, I did expect there to be a 60 FPS option. I mean, FSR, isn't RoboCop 30 FPS and then or 40 FPS, something like that, and they added FSR 3 to take it to 60 to improve performance.
But
why couldn't they do the same here?
No, but I'm backing up to what you're saying. This is a case where they never promised you 60 for Hellblade on console.
It's not a good look, right? I mean, you're looking at PlayStation's first-party lineup, and everything that they've got in their first-party lineup offers a performance 60. I mean, albeit...
But this also goes back... I almost feel like I'm making excuses for him, and I'm not trying to. I'm trying to look at this logically and say, because it's Unreal 5, that I do not think Unreal 5 is this hardware can support it. I don't care if it was on the PlayStation. I don't think it can do it. I think you would have a performance mode that could do it, obviously, but now you're probably really degrading the visuals of it. Now, we both agree. Give me the choice. Let me decide what I want, what I don't want. But I think they want Hellblade 2 to be this visual showcase for them. So if you have a performance mode, and we know how it works, what's going to happen? People will screenshot and show it in the performance mode and say, look how ugly this game is. That could be, and this is me speculating. I'm completely spitballing here, and I'm not trying to defend it because I agree. I came into this generation with 4K 60 should be the standard across the board for both of these consoles, and neither one of them, and more so Xbox, has not lived up to that. So I think we're in agreement on that. Yep. But at the same time, of course, I hop on a call with you, and now work wants me to hop on a call, but I'll give it like 10 more minutes, and I'll jump on. Hold on a second. Let me respond to something.
Yeah, that's fine. But I never expected any of these consoles to do true 4K 60.
See, here's and I've been a stickler on this. See, I actually take this all the way back to the last gen, and this is why I'm not necessarily a fan of the mid-gen refreshes. Last gen, the mid-gen refresh was a half measure to correct the mistake of the hardware that we got in 2013, because 1080p 60 should have been the standard back in 2013 with this hardware, and they couldn't do it, right? So that's why we got the PS4 Pro. That's why we got the One X, to try and correct that. So you would think they would lessons learned coming into this gen to where, all right, if you're promising me 4K and you're promising me 60 frames, I want that delivered. I don't want to see these compromises where we have to have performance modes, and now we're going to have another mid-gen refresh. Because that's the other thing I said on Twitter. If people that were, talking about the PS5 with the performance modes, I go, why do you think we're getting a PS5 Pro? Because in other words, you have to degrade the visual experience to be able to deliver 60 frames on that hardware.
I mean, we've seen it.
That's all I'm saying.
we've seen it with Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. That got degraded quite a bit to get it to 60. The difference between quality and performance is night and day. So,
Are you kidding me? I
you,
love it. And I'm going to say this real time. I love how I was not scheduled for a meeting at this time. And then you throw it on my calendar right now. And then you go, hey, are you free for a call? No, give me 10 more minutes. Well, we need you right now.
No, that's all right. You're available on Tuesday. Are you available on Tuesday?
No.
No, you're actually busy for 2 weeks, right?
No, I'm not. And wait, can I say what I'm doing? Something. I will just say that I'm doing something that you will see on Tuesday. And yeah, I'm not available. And I'm not sure if I can say I'm doing it or not. But,
it's fine. You can tell me in Discord. I won't tell anyone.
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, I need to drop because I gotta hop on a work call. But
no worries.
I do want to have an extended conversation with you, and we'll definitely do it here in the next few weeks because there's. I'll say this before I go because they can wait 2 minutes. My whole thing, which I was really looking forward to talking about when I look at it as far as Xbox goes, I just feel like as they have a grand opportunity with this upcoming showcase. That with all the doubt and the fear mongering and the doom and gloom that we've seen the past few weeks, deliver a solid showcase that we know what's coming in 2024, but show off those games in 2024 again. Give us a peek into 2025 and then start showing us some stuff beyond that might be next gen. So again, if Gear 6 really does show up, show me Gear 6. Show it to me in Unreal 5. Just tease it. Show me what the future of gaming could potentially look like. I think if they can do that and be definitive in the short term about you're getting these games on these dates or in these windows so that people can start having a little more confidence about what's coming out, I think they'll be fine. I think a lot of the doom and gloom we've seen over the past few weeks could fade, but they got to be definitive. That's kind of my biggest thing with the showcase.
I agree.
Definitive about what's coming out. Don't be vague. Don't show games that don't have branding on them. Is it on Game Pass and not on? No. Tell me what's coming and when.
I just want one. I want them to drop one game during that showcase that no one knows about. That's coming out this year. One that's being kept under wraps. That is a big title. Whether it's Perfect Dark, I know Perfect Dark is away. I'm just using that as an example. So chat, don't get any ideas because that's a little bit of ways. But I just want them to drop one game that's coming this year that no one is expecting. That's a high-profile game because I think that will set things alight.
That's coming this year. See,
yeah.
I would love it too, but I'm not.
You can tell me on Discord.
I think we could have something that's more AA level that could still come this year. But
hey, AA is good.
AAA game.
Look, yeah, AA is good.
A big AAA, I don't think so.
Hellblade 2 is a AA game after all, and this is.
But I definitely think we see. I'm 90% positive we're seeing Perfect Dark this year. We will see it. We will see actual gameplay from it. Now the bigger question is, do we get it in 2025? That would probably be the bigger question on that.
You heard that right, Chad?
Yeah, I'm imagining
Shadow
Fable. No, yeah, right. but I'm imagining Fable's their big holiday title for 2025. So what else they can supplement throughout 2025 will be interesting to see. But yeah, it looks like I need to drop. So
yeah, that's cool, dude. We'll chat again and organize something when things are a little less hectic.
Yep.
I appreciate
I'll talk to you soon, man. Later.
Bye. How goes it, folks? So, yeah, I've been trying to get Paris on for a little while. We were supposed to be having a showcase a present stream on Tuesday where we were going to discuss stuff and talk about, all things Xbox. That didn't happen due to certain reasons. Again, as you mentioned, you can't really get into it, and I'm not going to go into it either. But it's fair. It was a proper reason. So as soon as his calendar opens up a little bit, we're going to get him on the show for a longer discussion so we can, get everyone's thoughts processing as well and actually have a much more nuanced talk about the future of Xbox. But What was your takes on what he said? Benaya says, Chaos, do you think Avowed is getting delayed? I think there is a good chance it's getting delayed, Jess. And that's just based on what I've heard. But I think it's going to be touch and go towards the end of the year. But I will say this. If it gets delayed, it will be to the first quarter of next year. And if they need that extra time, I'd much rather they spent, they delayed it by a couple months, put that extra time in, got it to a state they're happy with, instead of releasing it in a state where it's rushed. No one wants a rushed game. No one wants an unpolished game. So if they need the extra time, do it. Just don't do a Cyberpunk by saying when it's ready, we're taking all the time we want, and then they release it in the state it was released in. No one wants that either. So that's actually one of the topics we're going to talk about. Like I've set a whole itinerary of stuff we're going to talk about that he's happy to talk about as well. With in terms of stuff we're talking about, the future of Xbox, games coming, Steam, Epic, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're talking about. The showcase. I did want to talk about the update towards the end of April, but I'm guessing what he was trying to refer to was related to that, because there's an update coming for Xbox at the end of April. It's supposed to be a good update, good news. Don't know much else about it. I've just been told to look, to keep an eye on things towards the end of April, and we'll be getting some good stuff, good information. I mean, it could just be the Hellblade 2 showcase but they said it should be more than that. I do know that people have been complaining about marketing for Hellblade 2. Hey, I've actually seen some of the marketing for it. So that's cool. Hasn't gone live yet, but I have seen it. So it does look like Microsoft is doing some marketing at the very least for Hellblade 2. I just think that they're not going to be pushing. The ones that I've seen, we're not going to be. Well, it's not going to be going live. I need to be careful what I say. It's not going to be live at least until the end of April. Microsoft has been looking to change the achievement system for quite some time, but they haven't done it yet. Who's a goalpost mover? Hellblade 2 right now, as you can... I mean, look. When IGN is praising an Xbox game, hell has frozen over, right? Hellblade 2 is undeniably one of the most graphically impressive games I've ever played. When IGN is saying that, then hell has frozen over. Benaya, RoboCop wasn't running at 60 when it first launched. It's running at 60 now with FSR free. But when RoboCop first launched, it wasn't running. But IGN 2, 7 out of 10. Oh, Sully. I could just see it now. They've implemented FSR free, Dreaded. So now that they've implemented FSR free, it is running at 60. From what I've heard, I haven't played it on Xbox. I think Steve has it in chat. Steve, you've got RoboCop on Xbox, right? I think you have it. I personally haven't got it, so I can't test it. But look. It does look like Hellblade is following, that kind of PlayStation trope style of game. So I expect this game by IGN to get mega scores. It is following that Sad Dad Walking Simulator type of thing, experience. They're going for that cinematic experience. They're going for that story narrative heavy driven game. I don't care that the game is 8 to 10 hours long. I think that's actually okay. It's priced at $49.99, so I think that's fairly priced as well. So I think that's okay. I mean, you pay a lot more just to go to the pictures, get a few snacks, to watch a 1.5 hour movie. Dragon's Dogma 2 runs 30 FPS on PlayStation. You'll be lucky if it runs on 30 FPS on anything. Who's left? Who are you guys talking about? I saw this in my Discord as well. Are you not talking about that the co-founder, the creative guy, the co-founder of Ninja Theory? My dude left 2 years ago. He got 120 million. My dude yeeted. Yeah, he left about 2 years ago. He was given $120 million. My dude left. Why is it news now? You know, he hasn't had any involvement in... I don't know, man. My dude left ages ago. If somebody gave me 120 million, I'd disappear. You're not wrong. And if we're talking about the creative artist, he didn't do anything on the game. His involvement ended within like the first year, so he didn't really have much involvement in the game either. So even he, what's the big deal with him? He left. You know, if you read the article, if it's the one I'm thinking you're talking about, the one from GamesPro, my dude left. My dude had involvement of like 1 year in the game. I can tell you from a creative point of view, they don't stick their noses out of shit until the very end. Why do you think I was working till 7:30? Or 7:15 today for a release? They kept on changing shit until the last minute. Forbidden West doesn't look terrible. I don't think it's a very good game, but it doesn't look terrible. But GameSpot said, I can't remember the last time a game left me so excited to play the full experience. Games Radar says, it's clearly on track to be one of the most important exclusives this gen. And Polygon, if I'm not mistaken, they're a PlayStation-centric publication. I wasn't expecting to experience a next-gen moment when I played Hellblade 2, but I got one. There's nothing else quite like it. Now, from all the articles that I managed to read today, there's only about 5 or 6 I managed to read today. Like I said, I was really busy. But from all the ones I managed to read today, no one complained about the 30 FPS. Not one. So I doubt that's going to impact the review scores in any way, shape, or form. Would I have liked a performance mode? Yes. I think choice is good. Not giving people a choice is unsavvy, but I think if they decided to go down the performance route, it would have delayed the game, like I was telling Paris. I mean, God of War doesn't look terrible. Ragnarok isn't all that in terms of the game. It's not as... It's really weird because Zero Dawn is really good, right? Forbidden West looks better, but plays worse. Ragnarok looks better, but plays worse than 2018. And from what I've heard, Spider-Man 2 looks better than Spider-Man 1, but plays worse. Seems to be a trend. Although Burning Shores was really good. Burning Shores was very akin to Zero Dawn. I mean, the fact that it's on Game Pass means everyone should be trying it anyway. Well, the problem is, JP, Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't run at 30 FPS. It drops down to the low 20s. If Hellblade is locked at 30, it's still contextually different, right? It's still contextually different. I mean, it's still an issue, but it's not the same as Dragon's Dogma 2, which was dropping down to like 20 frames per second. That's crazy. Unless you're playing on the Steam Deck, then it's dropping down to 11 frames per second. Hey, Rabbi, how's it going? Dreaded, is that directed at me? That's your opinion. Most people on Earth disagree. Uh, can you show me any statistics for 7 billion people? 7 billion people. That's the average Earth population. I mean, I'm not lying, but now try play it on the Steam Deck. It runs at 11 FPS. It's 8 billion. Well, if you've got people like me, Benaya, who's having 5 kids, I can see how it can escalate quite quickly. Yes, we stopped at 5. No more. Some of my favorite games. Ooh. Alan Wake 1 and 2 are up there. Easy. Uh, Near Automata is one of my favorites of all time. I would say Final Fantasy X is up there. I really enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 2. Zone of the Enders was really good. Halo Reach was amazing. Hellblade 1 I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, those are just some of my favorite games. There's more, obviously, but. And I play on all platforms, by the way. I play whether it's PlayStation, Xbox. It doesn't bother me. I've got every console, so I've never been in like a huge fan of Nintendo games, though I did really enjoy uh, Luigi's Haunted Mansion on the GameCube. Metroid is another series I really enjoyed. The Game Boy Advance version, I can't remember what it was called. The one where Samus's suit was infected. The purplish red suit. I can't remember what it was called now. Does anyone remember it? Zoe is classic, yeah. People still play Skyrim, yeah. Fusion, that's the one. Fusion was awesome. I really liked Fusion. Metroid Fusion was so good. Castlevania's Symphony of the Night, and the other one that was on the Game Boy Advance as well. So good. I mean, like I said, I played like a wide range of games. Uh, Rasadox, that's if it's going to be available day one. If it's not, I'm going to have it installed both on my PC and on my Xbox to see how they run while I'm streaming. Obviously, on my Xbox, it's not going to cause any impact for the performance of my stream, but it may impact performance if I'm playing and streaming off the same PC. So we'll see. I do have a good graphics card. I've got a 3090 Ti, so it's not a slouch. It's still got some weight in there. And for at least now, the 3090 Ti is pretty good. Yeah, Metroid Fusion, good game, so good. I couldn't really get into Dread. I really tried to get into Dread. I just couldn't do it. That's the latest Metroid. Something just didn't feel right. I don't know what it is, but it just didn't feel. I don't know. It just didn't feel like Metroid. Susanna, you're not wrong. I think it's pretty much just below a 4080, right? I played the original Fable. But I didn't play the Fable 2. And quite honestly, it's been so long, I don't really remember much of it. But yeah, like 30 FPS is going to be a deal breaker for some people. I get it. But honestly, I would say it's worth trying. If they lock it to 30 and can nail that experience, then and provide that filmic kind of cinematic experience, you might get away with it. Yeah, Susanna, I think it might be that. I don't know. It just felt weird to me when I played it. I just couldn't get on with it. I do want to complete it. Although I do like the Metroid games, but I think the Prime series, the first person ones, were peak for me. Those ones were better. It's not 6 hours. It's 8 to 10 hours. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2, I completed the tanker and the main game in under 2 hours. And that was while watching behind the cutscene as well, because that was epic. I couldn't skip that one. That was a really good cutscene. Um, but I completed the whole thing in under 2 hours. And that game back then was $40 for 2 hours. IGN is going by that because they said it's going to be 8 hours. But if you want to, if you want 100% the game, get all the collectibles, it'll go higher, right? 8 hours is just beelining the main campaign, not looking for not getting the collectibles, the secrets, and all of that. If you're just beelining the main campaign, yeah, you probably can get it done in 8 hours. But if you're gonna start, looking for stuff in under every nook and cranny and whatnot, trying to see if there's any secrets and if there are, finding them, it's gonna extend your playtime. But Joshua, like I said, I beat the whole of Metal Gear Solid 2 in under 2 hours. That must be a shit game then, right? I mean, I beat it in under 2 hours. That's terrible, right? That's awful, right? Because I beat the tanker part and the boat part in under 2 hours. That's one of my highlight achievements. And I still enjoyed the game. See, Dwayne knows the facts here, right? Them's are the rule. Dwayne Morse is coming in with the facts. You don't want to incriminate yourself. JP, I think this game is going to be good. I really do. But what I don't want to see from these people, right, from the developers, because look, it's not even 4K 60, 4K 30. It's dynamic resolution, which means it's going to go up and down. But I don't like this statement. I don't know how you guys feel about it. Just tell me that there was technical limitations on the console, or that you wanted to push the polygons to the point where everything looked amazing. But just don't say this. I don't like this. This is what I don't like. Hellblade 2 only runs at 30 FPS and dynamic resolution on both Xbox Series S and X. There are no graphics modes. The frame rate can only be increased on the PC. The visual effects director explains this in an interview with GamePro by saying that the experience should feel more cinematic. See, don't tell me that. I don't want to know that, right? I get that there might be reasons why you're doing it at 30, because you're trying to make this game look like the best possible game it could ever look like. Then just tell us that. But don't say this. I don't like this. The Series S wouldn't be blamed for this anyway. It's different hardware. You can run it at 30 on the Series S and 60 on the X. We've seen that multiple times, so that's not a problem. We've seen that many, many, many times, so that's not the issue. And the Series S is not running this at 1440p. It'll be lucky to run it at 1080p, right? So it'll probably be sub HD levels to maintain that 30 FPS. So just ignore the Series S entirely. Yeah. The parity clause is features. So, for example, both versions of the game, if they have split screen, if the game has a split screen, both versions need to have it. Performance is not parity. The performance doesn't fall under parity. Only the features fall under parity. That's all that parity clause is. Black bars? I'm not sure. I mean, I can't imagine it, because then that would be 50 hertz, right? Instead of 60. That would be PAL territory. That would be nasty. I mean, there's no law to say, Bold, that they need to do it 60. I mean, we prefer 60, yeah. But there's no law saying that they have to do 60. There's no mandate within anything to say that they have to do that. JP, they cannot do that. Because then Joshua would be entitled to a free upgrade. My son would be entitled to a free upgrade if they discontinued it. They still have to develop for it. I mean, they could probably discontinue it now, but they would still need to develop for it and still need to cater for it. So, regardless of how they go about it, they're stuck with the Series S this generation. Susano is using Unreal Engine 5. So is the PS5. Doesn't mean it's going to give that. It can give up to that resolution, up to that performance. It doesn't mean it's going to give you that performance. But hey, I'm pretty sure all the Series S owners out there wouldn't mind a free upgrade to a digital. I mean, it technically can hit 8K, right? Just there's no game to hit 8K. Isn't there one game that's actually hit 8K? I think there is. I know it was released on the PS5. PS5 game running 8K. Yeah, this one. This game runs 8K. I mean, you're not going to get anything more complicated than this running at 8K, but hey, it runs 8K. I mean, Sanchez. Maybe. So, I mean, if you want games looking like this, then you can get your 8K. But I don't think anyone wants, Halo looking like this. That's because Ori has animations. Although I kind of want to play this now. This kind of looks interesting. Anyway. Lego Halo. But yeah, so I think there's like 1 or 2 games on each platform that actually does hit 8K. They probably got them out there just for the sake of it. Do you see Hellblade 2 taking advantage of those announced FSR free upgrades if they choose to do so? If they want to take advantage of FSR free, then they can. But right now, for the launch, they won't be doing that. I think FSR free just came too late in the day for them to be able to utilize it. I mean, we haven't even seen Starfield, if they ever will, utilize FSR free. I mean, Blu-ray could probably run at 8K, right? They could run Blu-ray movies at 8K. This one here? Yeah, we're going to watch this. We are going to watch this because I think this is from IGN, I believe. But we could watch this from IGN, or we could actually watch the full video here. It's like 8 minutes long. Which one do you not want to watch? The short clip or the longer clip? I did. We're going to be looking at that as well. Longer clip? Let's do it. let's do it. I just need to make sure I've got the audio sorted out. Browse the source audio. All right. Let's go 40p. All right, let's see what they're saying. Let's turn that off.
Senua, would you give your life for these outsiders?
In my darkest hour, it was an outsider who saved me.
As I slowly worked my way through an Icelandic settlement freshly ravaged by rampaging Northmen, I found myself flanked by bubbling volcanic pools and a pile of mangled corpses left to rot by their creators.
I mean, it looks
Ahead,
gorgeous.
along a bloodied path stretching into the distance.
Look at that water effects.
Fueled bellows soundtracked an ominous pulsating glow. It was a nightmare scenario, but one that only made me want to delve deeper into what further terrors await me in Senua's saga Hellblade 2.
It's terrifying. So beautiful.
Following the traumatic events of the first game, Senua is now on a journey to Iceland to hunt down the Vikings who destroyed her home. But not all is as it seems on the Scandinavian island, as otherworldly creatures like Draugr and giants roam its shores. I spent a good portion of my playtime listening to the death echoes of a recently pillaged village and learning about what had happened there, before moving inland to be welcomed by a frightening ritual scene delivered from hell. Here, I met a mysterious man said to be the ritual's next sacrifice, before Senua intervened in an attempt to rescue him. He clearly has a connection to Senua's past, but the rest remains unknown. Much of the story of Hellblade 2 is still shrouded in mystery to me, despite having played nearly an hour of it. This sort of story-first ethos in a high production value package is one you'd more typically expect from a PlayStation Studios game, not only in Hellblade's aesthetic and setting similarities with Sony Santa Monica's God of War, but also in the way it approaches its more mature subjects of family trauma and mental health issues. As those familiar with the original will know though, Hellblade 2 plays much differently from God of War, instead opting to emphasize even further its priority of narrative ambitions over action. Speaking of action, this is a game of exploration and extermination, and that brings us to combat. Encounters may seem familiar at first. They still take place in walled-off arenas and demand every enemy be defeated before progressing on. But there are tangible differences to be found as well. Each swing of the sword comes with a heavier weight to it, emphasizing the damage every plunge into a foe's flesh causes. Dodging and parrying remain key components, just as reading the rhythm of your opponent's attacks stays vital to your survival. These tells are something you'll need to keep an extra keen eye on too, as the parry window for Senua to meet steel with steel appears far less forgiving this time around. The improvements to combat
it looks amazing.
in an intense battle that occurred right at the end of the playable sequence. A procession of around a dozen enemies faced off against me with no respite allowed. This battle demonstrated the increased variety of enemy types, with new foes emerging from the shadows to replace their fallen allies.
And this is the Xbox version, by the way.
And heavy close-up blows that put my admittedly rusty skills to the test. All of this occurred while all hell seemingly broke loose around me, as innocent victims meant swift and vicious demises, while fire, flames and all manner of horror filled each corner of the screen. It was thoroughly exciting and felt like an improvement over the original's rigid by comparison combat. It's not reinventing.
Wait, you guys aren't hearing the voice?
Things up a few notches, adding a desperate edge to each encounter. Combat director Benoit Macon cites Game of Thrones' Battle of the Bastards as an inspiration.
You guys aren't hearing the audio? Oh, you can hear. Okay, so it's just Diablo pulling my leg.
In which an outnumbered Jon Snow takes on enemies one by one amid a frantic battle. The variety of swings, blocks and parries executed within the minute-long scene were the key takeaways, and resulted in Ninja Theory making every fight a one-on-one duel. Action can happen around Senua, but there's never more than one enemy attacking her at any time. Instead of increasing the scale of fights, there is a far greater increase in the number of different combat animations. I saw many varied brutal sword swings and flesh-slicing finishes over just a handful of encounters, each performed with believable weight and purpose. This combat approach, along with the environment, story and visual design, immerses the player further into Senua's struggle.
It just looks
Unsurprisingly for a
beautiful,
studio this focus on the cinematic, performance capture has been used for each and every battle maneuver, resulting in what feels like a real step up when compared to the first game. Nothing illustrates this quite like the fact that it took around 70 hours to record all of Hellblade 2's combat moves, in a large purpose-built motion capture stage at Ninja Theory Studio. The original Hellblade's combat performance capture, on the other hand, was recorded in just 2 days in a small boardroom, where if a sword was swung too high, it would hit the ceiling. The extra time taken and effort put in really shows, with fights seamlessly flowing as each enemy is dispatched in a different manner from the one before it. Outside of combat, puzzles will also be largely familiar to any who played Senua's Sacrifice.
It's happening again. It's him. There. He is dying again.
As I tried to leave the battle-torn village, I was met with a swirling vortex of bones and limbs, emitting an unwelcoming red light. In order to remove this barrier, I'd need to find 3 runic shapes in the world, which required a reasonable level of exploration and lateral thinking. They were by no means overly challenging, but something I couldn't help but feel I'd done a few too many times already in the original. I hope these challenges develop in complexity as the adventure moves on. It's an adventure whose cinematic aspirations can be felt in every frame, in part thanks to an anamorphic cinema lens attached to the in-game camera. From this viewpoint, shades of the psychological dances with death, along rugged Scandinavian coastlines in Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal, and the bold flashes of otherworldly colour synonymous with Dario Argento movies can be observed. But by far the most tangible touchstone is the films of Robert Eggers. Hellblade infuses the mythic Norse setting of the Northmen with the murmuring dread that serves as the undercurrent to the Witcher's folk horror. It's not all horror in this world though, with plenty of room left for wonder too. An example of this is a new type of puzzle that
Hey, Dwayne Morse, thank you for that 5 gifted memberships. Bold Alpha Wolf, Jonathan Saki, Snowy Rains, J Gaming, Big Mad Mo. You've all been gifted a membership by Dwayne Morse. Thank you very much for that, dude.
Emerges in these lands more organically. A rock may appear as a face when viewed from a certain angle, which can then be focused on to reveal a new path. At the end of this path sits a tree that rewards you with extra story details. This sort of trick of the eye environmental puzzle only helps you embed yourself into the world as seen through Senua, and step into her mind even further. Talking of Senua's mind, we can't not touch on Melina Jurgen's impressive performance as the protagonist.
There's something here. I need to find out what it is.
In many ways, it is key to the immersion, demonstrated in how the camera finds every opportunity to close in on her. It's all a credit to the top-tier performance capture technology and Jurgen's wildly expressive eyes and subtle facial twitches. That face regularly looks set to burst with fear, something the psychosis-induced voices of the Furies residing in her head only add to. Perpetually chattering voices can be annoying in games, and if done poorly here, could easily result in a laughable imitation of the many shades of Smeagol. But it's to its credit that Hellblade's accompanying whispers and screams never irritate, instead assisting in combat and drip-feeding background intrigue. It's top-tier sound design that, much like in the first game, really comes to life when played with headphones, allowing for the binaural audio recordings to surround your head like it's in the centre of a whirlpool.
This is our quest. This is our destiny. Our mission.
All of this focus on presentation and story does run the risk of Senua's Saga's gameplay not always being the focus, and ultimately feeling a little one-note. This is certainly a criticism that can be fairly levelled at its predecessor, and from the 45 minutes I've played of Hellblade 2, it's not initially apparent that things have moved on a great deal since then. Puzzles and combat definitely feel more refined than reinvented, capturing a similar cadence to that felt in 2017, albeit with interesting new wrinkles. But that familiarity never diminished what makes both the original Hellblade and this new chapter so good though. Its ambitious narrative and accomplished cinematic framing far outweigh whatever shortcomings may be hidden underneath, and the incredible technology powering its beautifully ugly world is a sight to behold. It's all shaping up to be another riveting, haunting, and uncompromisingly immersive nightmare of both Senua's and Ninja Theory's creation, and one I can't wait to both enter and escape later this year. For more on Hellblade 2 and everything else, stick with IGN.
Graphically, this game looks just it's insane, man. It's insane how good it looks. It looks real good, man. I mean, the original creeped me out quite a bit. You know, it was somewhat distressing. But I don't know. They pushed graphically what they can do to the next level. Look, nothing can beat Kong's graphics, right? We all know that Kong is like the MVP and should have won Game of the Year in 2023. It got robbed, literally. And you know, it didn't even lose to Gollum, which is even more disappointing. And look, Gollum doesn't even have a free hit combo. Kong at least had the same free hit combo for the whole game. Even with a skill tree, it still only had a free hit combo. But you know, it's not normal to see all these people come out and praise an Xbox game. So the Metacritic score is going to be very interesting. You know, it's going to be very interesting because Xbox might get. I mean, what do you guys think the Metacritic score realistically? If you know, based on what you've seen so far, what do you predict without the biasness? So you got 70 or 80? Damn. I think you'll get more than that. 79 JLV. I'm going to go over 91, 92. If the combat is better than the original, the graphics look amazing, the audio and the sound is on point like we saw, and the story is good, that's pretty much a complete package right there. That is a full on complete package. Arthur One going full chav there. In it, mate. In it. In it. You can tell when someone's proper chav when they start using the word in it. Arthur, what are you doing? Having a WKD as well. I think the price point is just right for, you know, a game around 8 to 10 hours. You're a favorite. Man, I found out today that Americans microwave tea. What's wrong with you? I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought people were joking, but apparently it's real. How do you microwave tea? Like that's a crime. But now I'm gonna wait until they release a physical, and then I'll buy it. Hey, Rebby, I'm having a good Thursday. It's been a long Thursday, but a good one. Not too late. Not too late. I mean, I'm playing it day one on Game Pass, JP. It's not like I'm not gonna play it, but when it comes physical, then I'll buy it. That's cold, man. That's cold, calling him Harmon. No one deserves that. But yeah, the discourse hasn't stopped. But I agree with this statement. Not every game has to be a long slog. And in Hellblade 2's case, the digital pricing is fair too, which I agree. Hopefully, we'll get more games like this with more dynamic pricing instead of a bloat added to justify a £70 price tag. And I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. But I think this is this the no, that's not the. Where is the? Is this the article that you lot were talking about from Jez? So we'll come to that in just a sec. But what's your thoughts on? We'll double back to Hellblade in a second, but I did want to talk about this. So I saw this today and I thought it was crazy, but it's apparently real, by the way. So Sea of Thieves. Pirates who pre-order on PlayStation 5 will gain exclusive access to 4 Ruby Viper weapons and Scarlet Storm parakeet. I don't know I don't know what that is, but the PlayStation version will be getting exclusive content that the Xbox version doesn't have. Probably not, Rabbi. Yeah, it doesn't give a good look though, Susano. It's not a good look, no matter how you put it. It doesn't matter whether it's normal or not. They're getting exclusive weapons, and I have no idea what this parakeet is. Maybe someone can tell me. But that's wrong, man. That is wrong. This is just. I mean, I know they were supposed to get a PlayStation themed ship, just like the Xbox got it, right? So that one is. I think that one's okay. That one makes sense. So if that's what the Scarlet Storm Parakeet is, the PlayStation branded ship, Xbox got the same one, and I suspect PC got one as well. But the Ruby Viper weapons, that's just wrong. That's just weird. You know, the Scarlet is the ship is fine. That's weird. Well, no, weapons shouldn't be given to one platform and not the other. What happens if that weapon is OP? What happens if that weapon is slightly overbalanced? Can you imagine the shitstorm that's going to come from that? That should never, ever be a thing. Ever. That doesn't say skins for Ruby Viper weapons. Now, down here you've got cosmetics, but that says for Ruby Viper weapons. It doesn't say anything about skins. Dunno. Look, down here it says, for those that played the PlayStation 5 closed beta, will also earn the Dauntless Adventure sales and a title as unlocked rewards. These cosmetics are classified as non-transferable and will be exclusive to PlayStation Play's platform. Additionally, for participating. So these are cosmetic. It makes perfectly clear that these ones are cosmetic. These ones are not cosmetic. It did, Brick. It did. With those weapons. Benaya trying to trigger everyone again. Susanna, you know what they say when you assume, right? Mate, the amount of people that have come out of their basements for Stellar Blade is quite it's quite interesting. Although I will say this, if Stellar Blade developers want to make quick money, and I do mean quick money, all they need to do is add 2B skin on there and they will make bank. Add Kind's skin there as well. Fuck it, throw a A2 skin in there as well. They will make bank. That game is gonna print money like this. That one microtransaction is gonna print money like there's no tomorrow. Considering 2B is everywhere. JP, I think it's going to sell way more than that. There are a lot of hungry teenagers out there. And based on the whole, SBI thing, there are a lot of horny people out there as well. So, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how well that game does. I hope it does well, because they've got more stuff planned. But as you know, Jeff Grubb said essentially for those of you that are looking forward to Gears, that it could appear in the June showcase. Could. Maybe. Possibly. Probably not. But it could. But it might not. So don't get your hopes up. It's almost like me saying, if you play the lottery, you might win. You could win. You possibly could win, but it probably won't happen. So take it with a grain of salt. I know this has been going around at the moment, and people have been calling Paris out for talking about leaks. There is no leaks for this. just literally that it could maybe, possibly, probably not appear in the June showcase. Damn, Jeff scooped me on Gear 6 counts. Of course, people immediately jumped on Paris. If you have inside info on the game, announcements coming in the next few weeks, please don't leak it. The hypocrisy and yeah, they don't even give him the benefit of the doubt anymore. They just absolutely murdered the guy. I think it'll do more than that, Power. For the simple reason that sex sells. It's really that simple. Sex sells. Paris won't leak anything. That's really the bottom line. After all, there are people who won't play a game because it doesn't have an attractive character. There are people that won't play Returnal because the character isn't a hot model. The same thing for Forbidden West, the same thing for Fable. They won't play it. Which I think is weird. Everyone's played the demo. And I really enjoyed the demo. A bit too Dark Soulsy for me, but I still enjoyed the overall combat. It felt the timing was off, but apparently, according to, well, I can't remember his name, the CEO, if you enable game mode on your TV, it does fix the timing. Because I couldn't get the timing right, if you guys remember when I was playing it, and apparently, switching to game mode actually fixes that. And when I was playing it on my TV and I switched to game mode, it did fix it. So there's that. Lies of P is great. What Lies of P doesn't have that one does is boobs. If Lies of P had the boobs, it would have hit 10 to 15 million easy. But it doesn't have the boobs, so it didn't hit that high. Well, my timing improved either way when I changed to game mode. My TV doesn't handle game mode very well, but it did improve my timing, the response time. Yeah, the problem is my LG TV, which is an old LG TV, not the newer ones. They released a firmware update and it broke uh, game mode on my TV. It just makes everything ultra dark, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. And well, it's almost unplayable in game mode, so I can't use it. Yeah, let's get this article. How long is it? This is a long article. This is a really long article. You guys sure you want me to go through this? It's worth a read? Okay, let's do it. Atty, I am buying a new TV, but it's after I move. I'm gonna move first and then we're gonna think. Once I move, then I'm gonna end up buying a new TV. But yeah. I wrote a while ago with Microsoft distracted, the Xbox console experience is suffering. I know the article was passed around and read internally, but right now at least, I don't think Microsoft got the message, or perhaps more likely, it simply didn't matter. The only thing that matters is growth. And perhaps that growth may come at the expense of things we know and love today. Microsoft undoubtedly plans for today's user base, but a lot of the momentum Xbox seemed to have when the Xbox Series X and S series launched has been replaced with complexity, inconsistent messaging, and dreams of growth on other platforms, piling confusion on the fanbase it has today. In its recent rounds of messaging, Microsoft has placed a ton of emphasis on the growth of Xbox business, and it is growing. Despite headlines about declining console sales, Microsoft assured investors last quarter that its overall active player base on console continues to increase, and according to a Microsoft spokesperson I asked on the record, those comments don't include mobile or PC. Jesus, why am I constantly burping? As some like to claim. And of course, when you include mobile and PC, I guess, the growth story looks even rosier. Microsoft now owns Activision Blizzard, after all, and that comes with Call of Duty Mobile. I don't care about mobile. When you zoom out, there are plenty of reasons to be optimistic for Xbox's console future. There's the promise of bringing ABK games to Xbox Game Pass one day, hopefully sometime before 2030. To be fair, Microsoft has only been a few weeks since the deal went through. Few weeks? Piss off. It's been months. But it doesn't feel like it, considering the court cases around it dominated headlines for essentially 2 years. The celebrations were short-lived, since the arrival of ABK was also punctuated by layoffs, the divestiture of Toys for Bob and Spyro Crash Bandicoot fame, and the death of Blizzard's long-awaited survival game project. Well, I mean, if the game was shit, it's going to be shit, right? No point in releasing a game that's going to be thing. They get paid by the word or something. In an interview you should definitely read, Spencer projected his trademark, where is it? Where's the mouse? Frankness and honesty. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Phil Spencer talks about improving Windows on PC gaming handhelds like Asus ROG Ally and teased those improvements on the way. However, he also discusses some of the industry's biggest pain points. You should make absolutely no mistake that Xbox's competitors are having exactly the same conversations outlined within it. They are doing so behind closed doors, however, rather than outwardly to the press. They are also carefully planning how to best frame these strategic shifts in order to avoid alienating their current customer base, sometimes with mixed success. Maybe. I mean, we know they're evaluating. It did this via a curated Xbox Business Update, which I think still has people perplexed even now. In the video, Spencer says the 4 games are part of an experiment, but we don't really know what exactly the experiment's hypothesis is beyond money, or what its intended or expected outcomes are. We don't have any explanation as to why these games were chosen and not, say, Halo, because if Halo went, that would have been the end of Xbox. That's why. It's really a no-brainer for that one. In a perfect world, this wouldn't be a problem at all. The perfect world, platforms would compete entirely on their merits and content wouldn't be gatekept. See, This only became relevant since Xbox doesn't have any third-party exclusives. This, no one talked about this during the 360 days when Xbox money hatted everything. No one spoke about this being in a perfect world. No one, none of this was mentioned during the 360 days because Xbox was championing everything. They were pretty much doing what Sony's doing now. Exclusives, map packs for 2 months for Call of Duty, the works. No one complained. Well, PlayStation fans did, but I don't think anyone from the Xbox camp did. So there's a bit of a thing there. But we do not live in this world, and we may never live in this world. Probably won't. Well, we will do soon. Not by choice, but by force. The fact that this is billed as an experiment using games that aren't necessarily associated with the Xbox brand in the same way Halo is proves that Microsoft itself is nervous about its implications. In my view, if that's true, then I ask why wouldn't or shouldn't Xbox customers be nervous too? Well, if they put anything that's official first party like Halo, Gears, Forza on PlayStation, I think they kill the brand instantly. That simple, really. I would say that it's true that there are large portions of the core fan base, the types who care enough to read articles like this, who are aware and still don't care. I doubt there's any evidence that these decisions have led to decreased console sales as of writing. Well, people have sold their consoles and bought a PC, so there's that. But it's difficult not to make longer term extrapolations, particularly when you're essentially betting your money on digitally locked content. Even if you genuinely believe, like I do, that this experiment is for these 4 games right now, there's no reason to think that the experiment won't eventually expand to 8 games or then 16 games. I can predict right now that Microsoft's data will say that people purchased Sea of Thieves on PlayStation, and it had no material impact on quarterly Xbox console sales. And the moment that happens, it means more games are going to go over. Perhaps then it will even expand the experiment to Halo and Forza themselves. No, that would murder the console. That would murder the brand. I don't agree with that at all. How would Xbox explain against it to CFOs Tim Short and Amy Hood? How would Microsoft explain that to its own developers and teams, which have their own targets to hit? Those targets would be a lot easier to hit without platform exclusivity holding them back. Or they could just constantly release good games and they wouldn't need to do that. Right? If you release good games, you sell more consoles. Phil is just projecting Xbox's problems onto other consoles. It's an Xbox problem, not anyone else. I agree, JP. Pandora's box is already open, and no matter what game Xbox announces now and in the future, people will question when South of Midnight, Perfect Dark, Starfield, or any other side brand Xbox exclusive will come to PlayStation. What are the red lines? If there are any, it doesn't sound like there is right now. And this is something that I actually think is going to be the case eventually. I think anything from ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard is going to be a timed exclusive. At least for about 2-3 years for the big titles before it gets ported to anything else. I think all the Xbox first party games that are built within Xbox Studios, that will remain exclusive. But time will tell. And I've written this before, but perhaps none of this matters. Perhaps nobody cares if Xbox games launch on PlayStation. And perhaps consumers will continue to buy Xbox consoles at the same rate they do now. Well, it's clear people do care. People lost sleep over it. People were, in tears over it. People have lost their minds over it. And I do mean that literally. I mean, it could be for engagement as well. There are reports that more than half of all gaming hours are spent on just a handful of older games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Minecraft, and so on. So perhaps that's the business now. And we old-timers who play games outside of the black hole medium just aren't a factor anymore. I mean, if these three here bring in like 90% of the revenue for the market, then yeah. Why is Starfield releasing at 30 FPS? The same reason PC couldn't run it at 60 until it was somewhat optimized after launch. Redfall was, even on my PC, was dipping below 60, but now it's flat 60. But hey, on Xbox it's 60 as well now. Hellblade 2, I mean, it looks gorgeous. I think just graphically they've pushed it too far. That's all I can say with Hellblade 2. I think they just pushed it too far. I'm okay with it as long as it's 1 year later and day and date on Game Pass. I think it will be longer than that, Sanchez, for the bigger titles. I think Microsoft will want it to be around 2-3 years. With Starfield, it was poor optimization. Starfield definitely was poor optimization. Redfall, the developers didn't even want to make the game. As for Hellblade 2, they've decided that they're going to push the game graphically as far as possible and optimize for 30 FPS. So that's what they've done. Anime, what are you talking about? Zap, PC doesn't count for this debate. It never has and it never will. Either way, we won't know the results of this experiment for many months to come. Although, I don't know when this article was written. We did find out recently that Matt Booty did say that internally, in an internal town hall, that releasing those 4 games has stressed the brand. It hasn't damaged the brand, but it has stressed the brand. They obviously knew this was going to go public, so they had to use their words carefully. But if you're investing money today in a permanent digital content platform that could at least be perceived as preparing for a broader shift to platform agnosticism, I can see why you might be nervous to continue supporting a platform that seems less willing to compete than ever. Why buy an Xbox that only has Xbox games when a PlayStation has PlayStation and Xbox games? See, I don't agree with this at all. Like, I'm the type of person that doesn't like waiting, right? So if I don't want if I don't want PC gaming, and I want to play Hellblade 2, right? Come May the 21st. I ain't gonna sit there and wait 2-3 years for it to go to PlayStation and then play it. I'm just not gonna do that. I'm not prepared to do that. I know some of you might be, but I personally am not prepared to do that. But that's just me. That is why you would buy an Xbox. If you've got a PC, then it diminishes the reason to require an Xbox entirely, because you can just get it on your PC through Game Pass or Steam. You've got multiple options. But to turn around and say why you would buy it because it's going to PlayStation, it's not going day and date. That's why. Hunting for clarity and finding only confusion. Furthermore, why buy a PlayStation when a versatile Steam Deck 2 or Steam Deck 3 has both PlayStation, PC, and Xbox PC games? Well, eventually everything's going to be a PC anyway, so what's the point of even mentioning that? It's true that the industry is evolving at a breakneck pace, in part because of the improved viability of mobile gaming in general. In the Polygon interview, Phil Spencer discusses real-world dilemmas that console manufacturers are facing today. The demand for silicon is making it hard to reduce costs in console hardware the rate of inflation globally speaking, combined with a general decree in gaming hours across the board and truly insane competition, has made AAA gaming a riskier bet than ever. It was said that in decades past, a studio could endure a few failures, but a single failure can see an entire business fall apart in today's climate. That's true. That is true. You cannot afford to fuck up today. You need only look at the broader landscape and the thousands upon thousands of job losses. Well, that's part of the COVID boom and bust. You've also got, uh, you know, the merger situation. Obviously, Xbox wasn't the only people that let people go, but a lot of people were employed during the COVID boom, and publishers enjoyed a wealth of profits. But once that burst, bye bye. Game development slowed down. As I noted above, the questions that Phil Spencer poses, quite frankly, in the interview are conversations the entire industry is having right now. I don't feel that. I feel like it's conversations that only Xbox is having. I don't see Nintendo crying or moaning that they're in a financial rut or a difficult position or anything. Nintendo has already announced they're happy to maintain exclusives, and that is how they maintain their superiority. So, I disagree with that. However, Xbox's messaging here makes for uncomfortable reading if you're a current or potential future Xbox fan in some ways. And as a pessimist, it's hard not to wonder if it's intentional to prepare customers for more difficult news. I mean, if you consistently bombard them with bad news, it means that you become more numb to it, right? I'm guessing whoever wrote this doesn't have an editor. It's almost normal every year. Only thing that's not really normal is keeping devs with the game and the game is done. Well, there's usually different projects, right, that they move on to. Dreaded Montana, I don't, who's saying it's 6 hours? At the end of the day, even a developer said it's 8 to 10 hours. The publisher said it's 8 to 10 hours. That's a good length for me for a video game. Yeah. That's what they said. They said it's going to be the same length, and the first one was a good length. It didn't overstay its welcome. I can see from our own analytics that if you're reading this, you're most likely a millennial or Gen X with an age range of 25 to 55. Don't label me, even though I do fit within that bracket. You can't really build a business with the view of profitability for decades to come without considering the next generations. Gen Z is now entering the disposable income range of consumers, with Gen Alpha hot on their heels. Yes, Gen Z, you're getting old. To that end, Spencer discusses how these cohorts grew up in a gaming world without barriers, where you could take your Nintendo Switch or your iPad and play games wherever you fancied. He hints at building Xbox handheld devices. I mean, yeah, my kids still don't understand how we managed to live when I was a teenager, without the internet. Our biggest entertainment was Sky TV. Spencer goes on to talk about bringing third-party PC gaming stores like Epic Game Store or itch.io to Xbox. Another Pandora's box. I'm not sure how adding PC stores to Xbox is going to help make Xbox more attractive as a platform. Perhaps adding Steam would, given the many thousands of PC exclusive games it has there, but Steam is strangely not mentioned, and that's perhaps because bringing Steam to Xbox would basically be the end of Xbox platform. But PlayStation PC games would be on Xbox. Well, there's no reason to think Sony wouldn't block specific PC PlayStation games from appearing on Xbox branded hardware. Steam doesn't force developers to offer their games unambiguously via Steam, which is why Nvidia GeForce Now only has access to Steam versions of specific games. Well, yeah. The fact Microsoft brings up putting itch.io and Epic Game Store on Xbox feels like a clear hint about future plans, at least on the face of it. How does this impact me as a customer who relies on developers making Xbox versions of the games? I feel confused. I'm already without Monster Hunter Stories on Xbox because Capcom didn't think it was worth the port, and apparently no one in chat thinks it's worth the port. Hunter Stories on Xbox because maybe I can get Monster Hunter Stories on Xbox via Steam version of Xbox. Then, but will any developers think making Xbox versions of games is worth it at that point without the Xbox Game Pass investment? Doesn't that again just lead to a Steam Deck by Microsoft scenario? It does. It makes the console somewhat irrelevant because people are going to buy on Steam instead of the Xbox store. Won't that just lead to the eventual orphaning of my digital Xbox library, which is locked to a hardware platform that is doomed and no longer supported? And this is why I've said this whole journey into putting PC launchers onto the Xbox, it's really tricky. It's a minefield. They need to navigate that carefully, because it could have seriously bad negative implications. Will I have to rebuy all of those thousands of games on Steam when the Xbox store is eventually shut down due to a lack of support? Developers don't support the Microsoft Store on Windows 11 without a PC Game Pass investment. That is true. So why would they support an Xbox Store that was also part of a Windows-like open platform where Steam exists? Stupid me for believing Xbox was in it for the long haul, huh? Etc. And so on, blah, blah, blah. So many questions. I don't understand how bringing third-party storefronts to the Xbox or putting games onto PlayStation necessarily helps grow and maintain the Xbox console business. I would love to see a thorough explanation of how that works. I mean, that's the key. Seeing how it works is going to be the key because it's a huge, huge undertaking. Bring us with you. Don't leave us behind. Strategic shifts at Xbox feel near constant, and I feel if you're a technologist, you need to live in that breakneck universe of innovation. But if you're a consumer platform, you need to offer your customers familiarity, clarity, and stability. I find this particularly true in an era where our digital purchases are permanently locked to these platforms. Every dollar I drop into Xbox is there forever. I can't take it out. A lack of faith in the platform, fair or not, could result in a downward spiral of general consumer confidence. And while people have already said they're stopping to spend, so I can see where that's going to come from. Gaming and play have the power to connect people from all over the world. It does. From different cultures and backgrounds, people of different means and needs, bringing all deltas under a common banner. Gaming is a source of joy and relaxation for millions, a source of calm and stability in an otherwise chaotic, uncertain era. Try playing Call of Duty and saying that. I just like Xbox to spend a little more time talking about and to the customers it has today. I'd like to see more consideration for how these ideas and initiatives might stress a confidence and make the platform feel more vulnerable than it actually is. Give us a roadmap for major updates coming to Xbox platform. Give us more frequent insights into games, tech, teams, and studios that have operations that have gone dark for years and years. How will Xbox Game Pass integrate the vast operations of Activision Blizzard? Give us a new platform features and improve the current ones, like Xbox achievements. Don't just tell us to trust the process. Explain why we should. I mean, that's what I've been saying all along. Have some clarity, have some transparency. There is none. I'm sure firm answers to a lot of these questions are already penned in to arrive in the coming months. I doubt it. particularly as we head towards Xbox Showcase season in June. For what it's worth, I'm still optimistic. Me too. But I understand why some people are not. Xbox has more challenges than ever before, but it has more opportunities too. I just hope those opportunities don't lead Xbox down a path that many of its core today customers can't follow. Yes, I'm paraphrasing Padme. But this is me. Maybe we aren't the future of consumer spending for Xbox, but we're still here today. Don't move on from us too quickly. It's almost like Phil Spencer wrote this article. There was a whole bunch of words, but really no context. Just saying, the context in that article was very minimal. Game on Jesse? A lot of people said stuff about Zelda. What are you on about? That game was dropping down into the low 20s. People were talking about that all over the place. That's why people were playing it on Ryujinx instead of Switch. Ventura, you're pretty much on point with that. The Venom DLC was supposed to be part of Spider-Man 2. And if you look at all the promotional material and all the trailers that they released and the videos and stuff where you saw Miles and Spider-Man fighting Venom, that all got ripped out. In fact, from what I've heard, 90% of Venom's lines were ripped out and put into a separate game. Of course he doesn't like Stella Yams. It's not a Nintendo game. I mean, GTA 6 is going to sell regardless of what frame rate it runs at, right? It doesn't it doesn't matter with that game. That game is immune to everything. Literally immune to everything. I mean, I'll be surprised if it even maintains 1080, to be honest, Steve. Wasn't the Bloodborne remake 30 FPS? I did actually have that here. We're gonna go through that. But what is it? Joby, it looks like Karim agrees with you to a certain degree. I wish Hellblade was coming to PS5 too. We would definitely have definitively got a 60 FPS mode. I'm not quite sure. I mean, he clearly underestimates the effort that would have gone into it. Because if it was coming to PS5 too, we probably wouldn't have seen it for another year. Wonder why most Xbox first party games can't get the plays best here experience? Because PC exists. The real question is, why isn't performance ray tracing a thing? That's a good question. But I think if it wasn't running on Unreal Engine 5, it probably would have been. I did, Sanchez. I did. I mean, Tarnished, yes, but Final Fantasy VII is so blurry. I mean, it's fine for me because I can't see anyway. Like at this time of the night, I literally can't see a thing. That's why my glasses being on or off doesn't make any difference. So if I was to play like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth right now, that shit's gonna look the same whether I'm playing it in performance mode or not. But Ragnarok doesn't really look that more advanced than what it was on the PS4 version, right? The graphical leap from the PS4 to the PS5 isn't huge. And that's why you're getting the 60 FPS. If developers want to get the maximum fidelity out of a game, it's going to affect performance. So it's a choice. Lower the graphics, get better performance, or push graphics and it will impact performance. But, when you're looking at
Senua's movements and combat.
When you're looking at this, it just looks great. The detail on that, and this is the Series X version of the game. I mean, I'm genuinely curious to see what the PC version will look like. But this is running at 30 FPS. It's quite possible that when it runs at 60, it's going to lose that feel that it's trying to encapsulate. Not making excuses for it, I'm just saying. It is possible. If you watch movies at 60 or 100, 60 FPS, they look horrible. If you watch TV shows outside of the 24 FPS, they look horrible. So it could very well be a very similar thing here. Right? What they're going for here could provide you with the best visual kind of delivery at 30 FPS. Maybe that's what they wanted all along. Of course, then you have the question, why isn't it locked on PC to give you that same filmic option? It's a good question. But I can tell you, when I watched, when I'm at my brother's house, he doesn't have the TV running at 24 frames, and it looks horrible, absolutely horrendous, to the point where I absolutely just despise it. Ragnarok wasn't that impressive, no. Graphically, it wasn't that impressive because it pretty much was the same as the PS4. I mean, obviously, when I say PS4, I'm talking about the Pro, not the base edition. But it wasn't that big of a technological leap. Yeah, the PC can hit 60, Steve. 60 plus. I wouldn't say that at all, Tarnished. I would not say that at all. But Immortals of Avium is another game that was purposely built on Unreal Engine 5. And we all saw how that game ran. It didn't run great. It wasn't it wasn't overly impressive. It had its own share of problems. It's like, I'm not saying Unreal Engine can't do 60 FPS, by the way. It can do 60 FPS. What I'm saying is that with Unreal Engine 5 it's a balance. You're either gonna, if you're pushing one scale all the way up, the other one is going to go down. What you want to do is find a balance so you're getting that 60 with good graphics. With Hellblade 2, they clearly wanted to push the graphical fidelity to new heights. And honestly, from what we've seen over here, right, from what we see here, this just looks astonishing. I'm not going to go through this all, but just this is the scene I wanted to just look at the water here. This is, all of this just looks at, look at the smoke effects in the background from the fire over here. It just looks insanely good. And this is pretty much at the moment the best looking game out there. There's a cost to that. If you want something to look this good, there's a cost to it. And, if you don't want it looking this good, then it can get degraded. And then you'll be running at 60. That's bollocks, Joby, and you know it. It doesn't look better than this. Game on Jesse, Alan Wake 2 was insane. That looked so good. I played that on GeForce Now when I was streaming it. My God, that was just insanely and beautiful to look at. Everything was great on that. Not much. We're just looking at some of the graphical touches in this game. But the water effects, just look at it. Over here, you can see not only is the water coming down, but you can see kind of like the steam that's coming through it. Over here, like all of that is it's a lot of there's a lot happening in this one scene. People are underestimating what's happening here. There's a lot happening. You've got the fire in the background with the smoke going up. You've got the water coming down, evaporating with well, not evaporating, but steaming up, and then you've got the steam clouds over here going on. You've got the the flow of river. I mean, these all look insanely detailed. Just look at the wood. Everything just looks great. And then you've got like flying objects in the air as well, I believe. Oh, it's just particles. It looks great. See, Steve, that's my problem. Ragnarok was indeed padded. And I got so bored of that game. It's unbelievable. But Jesse, I think that's okay. Even at 1080p, I think that's okay. But I don't understand why companies decide, hey, instead of just releasing a 10-hour game, we're going to add 10 hours of padded content in there just to make this game longer so people can get more value for their money. When they, that padded content actually makes you resent the game. Yeah, I don't like padding. I just want, what's needed. Like even Final Fantasy 16, some of those side quests are cool, especially the chain ones. They actually have a good story, but there is so much filler in Final Fantasy 16 that it prevents me from giving it any higher than an 8.5 in my opinion. But the filler is a problem. I mean, what do you think I'm doing now, Jesse? This looks great. My only question right now, Jesse, is one thing. How good will this look on PC? That's what's got me juiced up right now. This is running on the Series X, right? This over here is running on the Series X. How good will this look on an even more powerful platform? I mean, just it's going to look crazy. It's going to look crazy. Unfortunately, I don't have a 4090, but my 3090 Ti should hopefully keep it going. I mean, for Senua Hellblade Power Boss, the gameplay is just going to be improved upon the original, and honestly, I think the gameplay was fine for the original. There's nothing really wrong with it. The storyline was pretty deep. That revelation at the end was I did not see that coming, but that was harsh. That revelation at the end, man, that was harsh. There's no two ways around that. Xbox and PC have all the games I need. PlayStation games come to PC eventually. No reason to buy a PlayStation 5. What's for 16? As for the Xbox dev kit that was revealed, from from what I'm being told, that dev kit is the handheld dev kit, not the next gen console. That's probably gonna land next year. If more and more PS5 games go on PC, then for sure I won't be getting a PS5. Hey, Bob. For 16, all I said was that the side quests are just a little too much. I've almost done every side quest in the game now, but it is way bloated. He tried to sell his. But it just looks really good. And it wants to maintain that fidelity all the way through. But what you're gonna, I think this part over here. No, this part over here, we actually get to see some gameplay. I think. So this, but yeah, I don't know. This looks really good to me. It's not great that it's 30 FPS, but I can see why it's 30 FPS. And the fact that all of these, are saying it's amazing It's clearly telling you that the frame rate didn't bother them. Even GamePro, who done the bigger article on this game, said that they're upset it's 30 FPS, but it didn't bother them at all once they got playing. Hellblade 1. Hellblade 1 had a really, really sad ending. That revelation that happened at the end of Hellblade 1, when she finally came to the realization, that was a gotcha moment right there. Gran Turismo is coming to PC anyway soon, so you probably won't need to do that either. The release date for this is May the 21st. Now you know, Arthur. Now you know. Now you know. You'll be 1 year old when release? But so far, the reactions, the responses to this game have been amazing. And everyone that's playtested it is loving it. We're not getting the whole Redfall vibe here. We're actually getting a really, really good vibe going into this. And maybe once I finished Final Fantasy 16, I might sit down and play through Hellblade 1 again. Palworld. Palworld got a metric ton of updates, folks. It got a metric ton of updates. That's a lot of updates. But in terms of new content, you get implemented the first raid boss. You can now summon raid boss pals by using slabs at the new summoning altar. Raid boss pals summoned by slabs are very powerful and cannot be captured. Work alongside your base pals to take on these powerful foes. Pals' eggs can drop after defeating the raid boss pals. The extreme version of the raid boss is incredibly powerful and difficult to defeat. You've got a new training manual. Items have been added. You got a new item, Ancient Technical Manual, now added. New recovery meds. Homeward Thundercloud. New item, Ability Glasses, has been added. When equipped, you can see pal stats. Interesting. New stat boosting items have been added. Power Fruit, Life Fruit, Stout Fruit. These items will boost pal stats when used. Added a new passive, Mercy Hit. Pals with this passive cannot reduce enemy HP below 1 when attacking. That's cold. Actually, that's kind of good. That means you can actually catch them all the time now. That's actually really good. That's actually a really, really good passive. New item, Ring of Mercy, has been added. When wearing this ring, you cannot reduce enemy HP below 1 when attacking. So, if you want to really capture that monster or that pal, you want the Ring of Mercy and the Mercy Hit all at once. New armor, multi-climber undershirt has been added. New building, Electric Egg Incubator. Guess Dr. Eggman will soon appear. A new building or mining site has been added. Pals, you're going to get Kelp Sea can now produce pal fluids at the ranch. Dimmed can now produce high quality pal oil. You can now reduce the weight of metal ore while riding Servant Terror. I mean, there's a lot here, right? There's a bunch of UI updates, player updates. Items dropped by players after death on a dedicated server can now be picked up by anyone after 24 hours of real time have passed. Added a new sleeping player emote edit. So what you want to do here is if you die, leave your stuff there. Wait until the 23rd hour and 59th minute. You're going to see a bunch of people there waiting to pick it up. YOLO in, pick it up, laugh at them, and then log out. Someone is definitely going to do that. You got a bunch of base related stuff. You can now force PAL to work and cancel their break by picking them up and throwing them towards facility. That's just slave labor, man. Balance adjustments, bug fixes, others improved, dedicated server stuff. Cheat prevention, fix a vulnerability that allowed Steam account spoofing, fix 7 other critical vulnerabilities. You've got the soundtrack. We are planning a larger, more content-packed update for summer 2024. Enjoy never-before-seen scenery and thrilling adventures on a new island, home to many new pals. In addition, we plan to add a large amount of new content, including buildings, weapons, and tower bosses. Thank you for your continued support. This is already available on Steam. It's going to be on Xbox when it's ready. So it's probably in the process of going through certification. So probably another week before it lands on Xbox. But that's the Palworld update. When was this posted? Today. It depends. If they sent this to Microsoft today, it won't be released until next week. Because it takes like 3 to 5 days for certification. The summer update is apparently an island with a bunch of new pals. I wonder what they're going to actually do with this game. Because it does feel like they need to add more content. Really? Oh god, crap gamers at it again. Oh, Man United's playing Chelsea. That's interesting. Yeah, Ready to Rumble boxing. I remember this on the Dreamcast. That was awesome times, man. He just does Crap Gamer, Tim Dog, and Peter are pretty much the same at the moment. And Warhammer Dave. Those 4 are pretty much constantly at it. Man United lost 4-3. No way. To crappy Chelsea. I mean, I'm not surprised. United are awful at the moment. They've never been. They've never recovered since Fergie left. They have never recovered. I want to listen to what this guy says.
Like, check this out.
So apparently he's mad.
I put out this post. I say Hellblade 2 only runs at 30 FPS on the Xbox Series X and S. No 60 FPS performance mode. So first it was Redfall, then Starfield, now Hellblade 2. Something is very wrong here. This person replies by saying your claims are some of the most disingenuous. Where's the fucking disingenuous claim?
He's mad.
This is what I mean. Like, these are the people that flock to my content, to my, whether it be my posts or my channel. Where's the disingenuous claim? All three things I listed, facts, people, facts. They are fucking facts. I didn't tell you it should have been 30 FPS or that I wanted it to be 30 FPS. I'm telling you it was 30 FPS. But he continues by saying, your claims are some of the most disingenuous. However, if you, and here we go, you gotta love it. You gotta love the spin. If you thought the most visually impressive game of the entire generation, people, would somehow magically be 60 FPS, then you're not paying attention. This is the nicest way I could say it.
I mean, there's no wrong in what that person said. Like I said all along, if you push graphics to the next level, if you are pushing the bar insanely high, it's going to affect performance. There's just no two ways about it. The only way you can get around that is by brute forcing it. And maybe, just maybe, right? Just maybe, what they're going to do with the next generation consoles, because clearly this idea came out after I think it came out after the current gen consoles came out. The whole notion of an eGPU with an GPU access port, right? External graphics cards. I don't know how that could work right now on the current Xbox, but that could potentially allow it to run at 60. But I think the Xbox with that game is potentially being pushed as hard as it possibly can. I don't know if it's going to be any higher. I mean, it could do, but I think that game is starting to hit boundaries. But at that point, it's going to affect performance. It's just one of those things. You can't push both to maximum unless you're on PC. But what would you think, guys, on the idea of an eGPU for consoles? Would you be interested in something like that? Would that be something that you would actually buy? Because I know the Asus ROG Ally has their custom eGPU, right? Let me have a quick thing. Asus ROG Ally eGPU. Where is it? So this is it. It's a 4090 graphics card for your Asus ROG Ally. You plug it into the port on your Asus ROG, and it basically gives you a 4090 graphics card. But you can also plug it into like your laptops and stuff as well. But you can plug it into, it basically plugs into your Asus ROG and gives you that 4090 GPU performance. I mean, for those that want the maximum, isn't options good? I mean, they don't have to cater for that graphics card. All it will do if it's not CPU bottlenecked and it's GPU bottlenecked, it would just allow the games to go from 30 to 60. So, I mean, I think this could actually be a good idea. I think it's worth exploring, and they probably will explore it at some point. I mean, there's no reason why you have to buy it, right, John? It depends if the game isn't CPU. If the game is CPU bottlenecked, then it's CPU. If it's not CPU bottlenecked, then the GPU is the one that's causing the problems. Why would this create lag? It basically replaces your onboard graphics card with the eGPU one, which runs lightning fast in terms of read and write. If I'm not mistaken, that connector there runs faster than PCI. So in theory, there should be no latency at all. I mean, Devastator, that is 100% fact, right? Instead of trying to hit 4K, stick to 1080p and go for that 60 FPS. So, I mean, the constant need to push for 4K and to push for 60 FPS and to push for the best possible graphics, they're not PCs, right? They're limited consoles. But I think this could be actually something that could end up being good. But anyway, back to this Musclehead.
Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what we're suddenly now this is what we do? Well, duh. Obviously Hellblade was going to be 30 FPS. What are you an idiot? What are you not paying attention? No, I'm paying very close attention, and you know what I'm seeing? I'm seeing that there's a commonality here with Microsoft Studios and their games. And that commonality is, why are they all 30 FPS? Why are they all 30 FPS? Why are there no performance modes? Because it's the most beautiful game ever made. Didn't you know? Hellblade 2 is the most beautiful game of the generation. So obviously, it's got to be 30 FPS. Yeah, I can only imagine what the same people would be saying if Naughty Dog came out and said, our next game's 30 FPS only. I can just imagine what they would be saying. Something tells me they wouldn't be saying, well, it's because it's the most beautiful game ever made, dude. Obviously. No, they wouldn't say that. So which is it? I need to know. And here, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it fucking is. Here's the reality. Here's the reality of Hellblade 2.
Oh,
and if somebody can't agree with this, then they're seeing things one way and they only want to see it one way. Hellblade 2 is going to be a good video game with a major flaw of the fact that it's not going to offer a performance mode on the current gen console. That's the reality. That's the reality of Hellblade. It's going to be a good video game with a major flaw, and that major flaw has honestly afflicted most other Xbox games, where it could have been a banger. The conversation could have been just about how good the game is, but it can't.
I mean, the game is still going to score a 90. So, in PlayStation terms, it's still a banger, right? It's going to score 90 plus, in my opinion.
And you know why? It's not because it's the standard. It's not because it's expected. It's because Microsoft is having trouble competing once again. Congratulations, Microsoft. You made a very pretty, great-looking game. You're a little late to the party because your competition, that being Sony, has been doing that for some time now. Except now they're doing it while also offering 60 FPS. You're a day late and $1 short. But people don't want to see that. Certain people don't want to see that and acknowledge that and call it for what it is. People want to look at it and say, well,
He seems really upset about this. Like, really, really upset about this.
no, this is not behind. This is not. We'll see, man. We'll see. We'll see just how good Hellblade 2 looks. And don't get me wrong. I do expect Hellblade 2 to set some kind of new standard in Unreal Engine 5, and that's fine.
Game on Jesse, he's basically saying that, Hellblade 2 shouldn't be 30 FPS, and looking at PlayStation games like Spider-Man 2, because they're 60, they perform and look better. That's not the case. But do you notice one thing, though? Like, when I'm preparing my streams, and I'm preparing, my talk shows, although some of them have been fell flat on their face with people pulling out in the last second, I try to keep mine as, Xbox focused as much as possible. I like to talk about Xbox. I like to talk about what they're doing. I like to talk about their next gen hardware. I like to talk about their handhelds. I just like to talk about where the platform is going. These guys also like to talk about Xbox, but they never like to talk about PlayStation. Why don't they ever want to talk about PlayStation? Do you notice it's like a running theme? They just never talk about PlayStation. It's like Xbox is living rent-free in their heads. If I see that there's a good game on PlayStation, I will say there's a good game. Did I like God of War 2018? Hell yeah, that game was amazing. Ragnarok? Not so much. It kind of felt... I got to the point where you go into that dream world with Atreus, and then you come out, and you go to that white, snowy area. I think I'm over halfway through the game. And I just got so bored. I couldn't continue, so I put it down for like 6 months. I think I'll go back to it soon to try and finish it. But I got so bored. But I'll say that, and I will stand by it. Right? I will stand by that. But I also enjoyed The Last of Us 2. I know you guys are going to really hate me for that one. But I did. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the whole start to finish. I'm not ashamed to say if I like games or not from other platforms. I'm not going to, fake rage and cry about shit just because of, PlayStation bad, Xbox good. But hey, look. Chat, don't we all need to see a waifu edition of Gears of War? I know this is completely segued, but me and Steve were having this debate. And he agreed partially with me that we need to see Marcus Phoenix in the Mankini, Kate Diaz in, a waifu setup. I think we absolutely need to see this, right? Okay, maybe the Mankini part for Marcus Phoenix is pushing too far. But I think everything else stands, right? Right, chat? Hellblade 2 gonna feel like the first time I played Gears of War on 360. I was amazed by the graphics. Game on Jesse? Absolutely. I mean, just from what I'm seeing about it, it looks absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, it looks so good. And honestly, like I was saying earlier, when I'm watching movies, if I'm watching them in 60 FPS, they just feel so bad. And I'm really curious to see if Hellblade 2 is going to have that effect. Because they're kind of going for that filmic experience with that cinematic outlook. So if they're going for that, will 60 FPS actually impact it or not? Will it improve upon it? I mean, the default notion is yes, 60 FPS is better. It's going to improve. It's going to be more fluid. It's going to look better. It's going to feel better. I get the whole notion of that. But I'm really curious to see if one delivers the game better than the other, if that makes sense.
Fine. But I just really hope that if down the line,
Diablo, didn't you hear? It's happening. God of War Trilogy is coming to Xbox.
if down the line, Naughty Dog's new game for PS5 and PS5 Pro, they're like, we push the absolute limit of our engine with visuals. We can only achieve 30 FPS. I hope that the people who are out here saying what they're saying about Hellblade 2 and only acknowledging the good, I hope they keep that same energy when that happens.
I guarantee you, buddy, they will not. I will. I 100% will. But I guarantee you that the majority of them on Twitter, they will not.
Because you know what I'll be doing? I'll be saying, wow, Naughty Dog, that's impressive. Just like Hellblade 2 looks impressive. Great visuals here. But yeah, seriously, I expect a 60 FPS mode. That's what I'll be saying. If at any point over the course of the PS5 generation, a PlayStation first-party studio has to come out and tell me we can only deliver 30 FPS, I will be upset. And the reason for that is because I have been conditioned to expect performance modes from Sony games because they have delivered performance modes in every single one of their games.
I mean, that's fair.
This is why I think there's just...
That's a fair point, right? That's a fair point. I'll give that to him. That's a fair point.
Just not enough pushback right now for Microsoft because I think people have just given up. And I can't blame them.
Hey, I'm still reeling from your comment.
I can't blame them. How could I blame them? You know, like when you continually get 30 FPS games and you see some of the most prominent influencers, if you want to call them that, somehow focused on the fact that the PS5 Pro might not do 60 FPS for GTA 6. It's like, dude, focus on your own shit, man. I have a reason for focusing on this, and it's because, dude, like, once again, where is the competition? I need to know. Microsoft Satya Nadella says, you want competition, then let us compete. Okay, I'm waiting. Where's the competition, dude? Hellblade 2 is supposed to be the competition. Starfield's supposed to be the competition. I'm not saying these games are train wrecks.
So that's a bit disingenuous, right? That's a bit disingenuous because now you know he's entered the realm of I'm gonna be the biggest asshat bullshitting prick available out there and start lying out my arsehole. And when my arsehole isn't enough, I'm gonna start spreading those lies out of my mouth because clearly the amount of shit that's supposed to go and get stuck in there isn't going in anymore, and I need to start, spitting that shit that's going through my arsehole out of my mouth. Because if he's saying this, why the fuck was he championing the whole Jim Ryan crying over at Brussels, crying over at the States, crying over in London to try and get the deals blocked? The amount of concessions that Microsoft had to give up on were so big that it's ridiculous. I still stand by the fact that it probably wasn't worth them buying ABK in general. I mean, from a business standpoint, it was, but from a consumer side, it probably wasn't, considering what it cost to consumers overall. But my dude was championing that block like there was no tomorrow. They pretty much made sure that Microsoft couldn't compete with ABK, having lost the cloud rights to Ubisoft, having to sign parity deals on the majority, not just COD, but there's other games that will come that need to be on parity. Right? So they pretty much made sure that they cannot do that. And then when it comes to third-party studios, Sony has a parity clause in place that prevents the games from looking better than Xbox. So Xbox games looking better than PlayStation. Because it is the market leader, it kind of has the power to do that. So over here, this is now when he's entered. I'm going to chat a whole bunch of bullshit just to finish the point I'm trying to make, to basically make it Xbox bad, PlayStation good.
I'm just saying that, like, they have major flaws that people can't help but acknowledge and say, I don't know, man. Like, the standard should be higher than this, and you guys are not hitting that standard. You're not meeting. You're not hitting the bar. You're certainly not surpassing.
I mean,
you're not
right,
raising.
Devastator.
You're not pushing
You're
the
right.
envelope. There is no more competition, dude. Just like I've been trying to say for a long time. It fucking sucks.
I mean, Jesse, you're right. ABK has put Microsoft in a position where they can technically control their own destiny, but they also can't, at least for the next 15 years, right? They can't turn around and say, Ubisoft, you need to go away. We're gonna put Diablo 4 now onto xCloud. They're not actually allowed to put Diablo 4 on xCloud. They have to pay Ubisoft to get that privilege. They also can't turn around and say, we're going to make Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox. Not for the next 10 years anyway. They can't do that. So they're in a good position right now, and they have money coming in from all directions, whether it's from the cloud, whether it's from software sales, which we've seen has been going up in growing, whether it's from mobile, which is now bringing in that dirty mobile money, and we all know how dirty mobile money can be, especially when we're looking at, if we look at COD Mobile, that brings in roughly about 10 million a week. It's crazy. I mean, if you look at games like Genshin Impact, they do like 90 million a month. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Well, I mean, Sony never really stopped the game from going to Microsoft. I mean, they did have that one game mode that was pretty poor that they had for a year, although I still stand by the Xbox version should have been cheaper because it didn't have it. But they still don't have the right to take it away from other platforms. Sony no longer has the marketing rights for Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 3, which was supposed to be a DLC, by the way, but because it became a full price product, saw to the end of that. That's really why Modern Warfare 3 became a full product, by the way. It was never supposed to be a full product, but that ended Sony's exclusivity rights. What if Microsoft sells it to them? Sells what, Jordan? Well, JP, we're looking at Sony's income. If Spider-Man 2 failed, Sony would be in financial trouble. I can't see Microsoft selling it to them. That would be stupid. I'm not saying they're not loaded, but less than 6% net profit is not a lot. And if Spider-Man failed and didn't sell well, a game of that magnitude, costing over $300 million to make, that would cost them a lot of money. Why would Microsoft sell PlayStation the marketing rights? That literally makes no sense. I mean, Sega went bye-bye because of EA, right? Atari went bye-bye because of age. And they never really decided to release another console. If Microsoft sells Sony the marketing rights, then Sony can just turn around and say, best played here. And so they're still going to attract all the consumers to their side. The whole purpose of having the marketing rights for COD is so you bring people over to your ecosystem. They want to attract more people to the Xbox side so they can. That Sony signed, otherwise they would have lost all Call of Duty. But you want them to come over to Xbox so they can buy the microtransactions. But there's no financial play here where Microsoft will give them the marketing rights. That just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, does everyone remember the game Fear? That game graphically looked, for its time, really damn good. But it was still like a corridor box room survival shooter or horror shooter. And that struggled FPS as well. Just Fear in general. 1, 2, and 3 also suffered the same problems. I think the first one suffered the most problems though. But that also suffered similar problems. So just because a game is a corridor based or linear corridor based doesn't mean that it can't push everything to maximum limits to the point where it's going to affect performance. I mean, Devastator, if that actually happens, it's going to be hilarious. Yeah, Digit, it's not happening. That's not happening. I mean, between these two, there is just no difference. I mean, not no difference. There's no competition. Don't get me wrong, this still looks good. But the detail here is just on another level. The enemies on the top one just look way better. Unless this is the PS4 version, I'm not sure. But, I would have put it past people to use the lesser version to try and degrade it more. Damn it, they're talking about microwaving tea again. Cesano, do you know when I built my first PC years ago, like when I first invested a lot of money, I bought the 3780, I think it was, X2 from AMD, their first kind of dual graphics card that flopped horrendously because no one supported it. Paid a lot of money for that. But I actually built that PC just so I could play Crysis. Just for Crysis, I built that PC. Ragnarok wasn't meant to be realistic looking, different art styles, but yeah, it's not even worth a comparison. It's not. It's really not. And that's why God of War can hit 60 and Hellblade can't. Susanna, yeah, I agree. Joshua, Hellblade 2 is running on Unreal Engine 5. It was ATI days, Digit. I think, let me see, man. 3870X2 ATI, I think it was. Oh, I mean, it's old. Is there even any pictures of it? I think this is it. This was a dual graphics card, as you can see, the two heat sinks. But it never really, no one used the second core, so it died instantly. And then ATI instantly abandoned it. It's a shame. But it did run Crisis, so I'll leave it there. That is incorrect, Power Boss, because both on PlayStation and on Xbox, Prince of Persia runs native 4K 60. The Lost Crown, that sideward scrolling Metroidvania game that's not graphically impressive, that does run 4K 60. It does. Hell, it even runs 60 FPS on the Steam Deck. That game is not graphically pushing. Also, it's going to be a PS5 with a very minor upgrade. I mean, the upgrade from the Pro isn't going. I mean, people think the Pro is going to run GTA 6 at 60 FPS. They're going to be in for a rude awakening. I mean, anything that is demanding is not going to hit 4K 60. Anything that is remotely demanding is not going to hit 4K 60. If you want a game to hit 4K 60, it needs to be graphically undemanding. It's that simple. So, Steve, what you're saying is, I got a chance, is what you're saying. 6 years after its acquisition, Ninja Theory is ready to set a new standard for Xbox Series X exclusives with Senua's Hellblade 2. Not only is it a fluid and responsive action-adventure game, boasting best-in-class visual fidelity, but it's also an experience with something meaningful to convey. Now, one thing I will say that Starfield on PlayStation, on Xbox did, they, with id Software, it implemented dual frame generation into Starfield on Xbox, and that actually made a huge difference to performance. Like, I don't like 30 FPS, but with Starfield, it didn't bother me. That dual frame generation that they had on Starfield that was implemented by id Software was actually really damn cool. I wonder if id has had any hands-on with this. I mean, ADM just knocked it out of the park, man. ADM just knocked it out of the park. Because that's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need. That's what we need, right? I mean, this review here is just priceless, right?
I have to admit something. You guys, I have to admit something. I don't actually like Nick. It's just become this running gag, you know, with the original joke being the PlayStation 4 launch. Pretty much all these games were also on PS3 and just as playable, except for Knack, a game so technologically advanced it would annihilate the PS3's puny hardware limitations.
I want to talk about development of Knack and why this game had to be next generation.
Fuck, the game is a fucking disaster. It's a 3D platformer with de-emphasized jumping.
So Crash Bandicoot, for example, we'd lay out levels and there'd be 50 jumps in a row you had to make or you couldn't get through the level, and that's clearly not something that anybody could do. So
wasn't this Paul Tassi?
Yeah, we have platforming.
Wasn't that Paul Tassi? If I remember correctly, that which web publication was it? They actually got stuck here and couldn't get past this point. Who was it? I don't know if it was Paul Tassi, but they actually couldn't get past this point, even though it says jump, jump, dash. It actually tells you what to do. Was it Forbes? It was. But not Paul Tassi. Okay. They couldn't get past this.
Yeah, we have platforming, but we've de-emphasized jumps within that context.
Do you know what that means? That means when Knack walks over to a gap, it turns into a cutscene of him jumping over it. Welcome to the game, Knack. Even this guy, whose sole job it is to promote the game and make it sound good, is lost for words when asked to describe what's special about Knack.
Certainly, I think it's, you know, I mean, some people say that, you know, is it necessarily, so you'll see, and also, yeah, yeah, I mean, that, and and I've seen people on the demo, you know, some people use it.
He's such a garbage mascot. You look at Mario and Sonic, their design is so simple and iconic that even if a 4-year-old drew them, you would know who they are. Knack, on the other hand, is 2,000 little rocks that sort of shape into some fucking weirdo troll. Good luck drawing that shit, kid. The gameplay consists of walking into an empty area, hitting a guy once, and then walking into another empty area and doing it again and again until the game is over. There's even a part in the new one where they make fun of Knack for only having 2 moves.
It's hard to believe you saved the world. All you know are 3 punches and a kick.
He can jump, too.
This game is a joke, and apparently Sony was not in on the joke. Knack 2, on the other hand, is a masterpiece. Oh, look at the graphics on that. Look at the graphics on that game.
Knack is back.
You can play as Ice Knack. Ice Knack, ladies and gentlemen.
Ice is nice.
It's like the gameplay of Knack, but with the storyline of Transformers.
Is Knack 2, so...
Knack has to fight the High Goblin, okay? So he can make a robot to fight a laser, okay?
I'm just, really curious, though, about, Knack 2...
Knack even has a new move, Dynamic Combat, Couch Co-op, Family Fun. Huh, interesting. Doesn't look like Bayonetta has family fun. Probably because this woman is a fucking whore. Look at how good I am at Knack 2. That's how you know it's good gameplay.
You got this, Knack. Show us how it's done.
Good job, Knack. Keep it going. That's it. Keep going. You've almost got it.
So strong.
That's Knack for you.
I give Knack 2 my first ever 10 out of 5, and that's just for the graphics alone, okay? Don't even get me started on the storyline.
I do like Donkey. He's good. My next stream game? Donkey's great, man. He's good.
One, two,
he is really funny. I like his videos. Let's watch one more, and I'll call, and we can end the stream there. Which one do you want to see? Battlefront or Skull and Bones? Skull? Takeshi got stuck?
I've wanted this for so long. I've always said they need to do this. Oh my god, you're doing it. I'm actually crying.
You will see that Skull and Bones is a fully fledged game, he said. It's a very big game, and we feel that people will really see how vast and complete that game is. It's a really full triple, quadruple A game that will deliver in the long run.
Wait. Don't play if you're under the influence of drugs.
I just took a big joint.
That should be the only way you do play this game. That's the only way you'll think it's good. Holy shit, Flup. Do you see this menu? This is a quad A menu. Okay, you have to enter into a pirate's code of conduct. Play nice.
Yeah, okay.
Behind every avatar is a real person. I will keep cool and communicate with respect in victory and defeat alike.
I'm gonna talk a lot of shit to everyone.
I won't do that.
No. Play fair. My skills alone will take me to the top. I will play fairly and never cheat. All this shit is like against like pirates' core beliefs.
Yeah, pirates would never say play nice.
Pirates would never accept a Ubisoft code of conduct.
The dawn of capitalism, when corporations as mighty as nations rule the seas. With an iron fist, they forge a path of tyranny and exploitation.
Look at the smoke. That's like CS2 level smoke.
Oh!
This is crazy. I didn't think it would be like this.
Watch the multiplayer be nothing like that.
It's gonna be one of those games where you're chopping down trees.
Some fine timber there for the taking.
The tree is already harvested. I can't harvest none of these trees.
Get one.
It won't let me. These are fake trees.
Try to like get closer.
Look, there ain't no wood anywhere.
There's a lot. There's lots of it.
What is this lightning meter?
I think it's stamina.
My boat has stamina? Oh, you have to put the sail away to recover stamina. Fucking wind. It's blowing against me.
You know what we should play? We should play Lord of the Rings War in the North.
I don't play single A.
Come at me, beast!
Come at me, beast! Come at
Why do
me,
you sound
beast!
like, sound like Tommy was up?
That's what my lady on my boat said. She said, come at me, beast. Flup, I'm turning down to 2 knots.
Come at me, beast.
I'm gonna be fucking Skull and Bones by the time this game downloads.
Oh, look at that whale!
Scouting down.
Holy fuck.
You wouldn't see that in AAA.
Now this is quad A.
Belgrade? Berlin? How many countries did they
Chengdu!
this game?
Ubisoft Chengdu!
Oh my god. They got Naboo? Ubisoft Naboo?
Ubisoft Naboo!
That was the most epic shit I've ever
I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm buying the Legendary Edition.
Blacksmith. He ignores you. Oh, do you see the thunderstorm over there?
What, to the east? Northeast?
So we actually have the same weather. That's surprising.
Why? It's quad A. How is that surprising at all? My guy looks fucking crazy.
My guy looks like he jumped out of a pirate's ass. For pirates, X marks the spot. And you just picked a random spot. That means nothing.
That's my spot.
You look like you jumped out of a pirate's ass, Flip.
Why do you keep saying that?
What does that mean?
I did not jump out of a pirate's ass.
Now the sea people and I have a deal.
Sea people,
they get the weapons they need.
Funky wagon, funky wagon. This is a 4A level game. See how there's like hundreds of trees
It does
on the
sound like
island?
it's having a lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Only like 2 of them can be harvested, actually.
Yeah, there's one here on the waypoint that you could harvest, but it's like consumed already.
Somebody already took it. I guess this is what a quad A game is like.
Go to the waypoint.
My boat ran out of stamina. This tree is gone too.
No, you
I
got it.
fucking hate quad A level games. What is this shit? Having fun? We hope you're enjoying your time on the high seas. The premium edition gives you access to the full game. Alright, Flip, mark me another tree.
Alright, next tree location right here. It's gonna be about 1,000 meters from you.
What?
Foul weather ahead!
Nice. Only 350 meters to go. Damn. Alright, get the wood, harvest the trees.
We have what we need! Let's get it delivered!
What is that?
Nope, he
What
did.
the fuck is that? Ah! What? What happened to all my wood?
Good old donkey. Ugh. But chat, that's going to be it for today. That's going to be it. I don't see the PS5 Pro being that advanced, honestly. You got the Brigantine? Nice. Should totally use it. Depending on if there's much news tomorrow, I will... Tomorrow's stream is either going to be a gameplay stream or it's going to be a news stream. I don't know if there's going to be much news to talk about. If there's anything to actually go over, we will do that as first. But yeah, like I said, when it comes to Hellblade 2, in my opinion, it's... Would I have preferred a 60 FPS? Yes, but when it's looking that good, who knows? I'm going to try it on both Xbox and PC to see how it runs on both, to see how the feel is. But time will tell which one actually people will prefer more. But either way, that's it for me. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend, folks. Take it easy.